we have Jack Dorsey and his company Square. So Square, the point of sale payment processor and the payment parent company of the Cash App, had really a big week this week and really a big 12 months. If you look at their stock price, about a year ago it was $130, and now they're trading above $260. So yesterday they announced a $29 billion acquisition of an installment payment company called Afterpay, which in short, at point of sale, when you buy something, you can have an option of doing 4 installments for the payment. So if you buy something for $100 over, a period over, a quarter, you can pay $25 each time and you pay it off. And really the idea is that there are no predatory rates here that you see with the, credit card companies and potentially with payday loan providers, which I think is really cool. I think that aligns with the ethos of what Jack Dorsey and Bitcoin are trying to do. But also Square had their Q2 earnings. The market responded very, very positively. The stock is up 7% since market open. And in short, what Square said is that their revenue was up 140% quarter over quarter, and gross profit was up 90%. So that actually means that Square had to cede some profitability somewhere, right? They grew revenue by more than their gross profit grew. And that was very clearly attributed to their Bitcoin selling business. So their Bitcoin revenue selling business was up 200% year over year at $2.7 billion of revenue, which is absolutely crazy. But that only ceded 55 million of gross profit. So while the profitability really isn't necessarily there for people who want to see these high growth businesses and high profitability businesses, I still think it aligns very well with what Jack Dorsey and Square are trying to do, and the philosophy of improving the financial system for the individual and allow for more inclusion. And it's seeing it being rewarded in the stock market, which is more of a traditional finance legacy market, is great. It's good to see.
Nate, I have a question for you. Do you think traditional banks are reading this story and shaking in their boots? How do you think they're responding to this news?
I mean, some of them are very excited about Square, because some of them are have analysts on Square and whatnot. But in terms of traditional banks looking at Square and the payments opportunity that Square is doing, a lot of them are we'll talk about payments innovation as something that they're falling behind in their and what they want to catch up on. A lot of the banks could go ahead and buy Square banking license. It's purchasing Afterpay, whatnot. It's going to be like a direct competitor to a lot of traditional banks. The narrative was, especially in early 2000s and 2010s, that banks would just buy fintechs, but here we have a fintech that's pretty much ready to rival the banks. I think it's really interesting, and I think that it's buy now, pay later. Platforms like Afterpay are really interesting for challenging payday lenders and that sort of thing. I was listening to this call yesterday, their conference call. They didn't mention anything about the potential for users using cryptocurrency to kind of pay in those installments, but I imagine that might also be a synergy there for this kind of deal, which is interesting.
Yeah, I'll jump in and just look at the profits from Cash App. So it's really interesting to see Square's Cash App and kind of see how well they're doing in the Bitcoin space. Apparently, the Bitcoin gross profit rose to $55 million. They announced this in a letter to shareholders. I mean, I always think that the market is kind of saturated in terms of all the different avenues you can get on to Bitcoin with, and then new avenues pop up, and then people discover them, and it's just providing more and more bridges for people to enter this world, which is really interesting. We think that if we just have one thing that doesn't have much friction, and everyone will flock there, but we've found that we've had frictionless avenues for years, and people still haven't migrated over to them and explored them. But then when you have existing businesses that work in other areas of finance start to add Bitcoin, that has been a very powerful tool for getting new people on board. You've seen it with Robinhood as well. It's absolutely tremendous how many people are getting involved with cryptocurrency via Robinhood. Cash App is a similar thing. Everyone's using Square, and now they're like, oh, well, there's a Bitcoin option. All right, I'll test it out. So that's really interesting to see. And I just wonder, like, how many other existing avenues exist out there that haven't yet added cryptocurrency, and whether this is just going to continue to, expose more people to cryptocurrency. Nate, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I do think that this is something that could. I think that Square and Jack Dorsey have always been big proponents. Have always been.
George is looking a little different.
Yes.
Who's that? We just got video bombed.
We just got video bombed.
All right.
Sorry, Nate. You continue.
That's a first for the hash. I don't. If I didn't add that, in terms of analysts here, Square more than doubled what estimates were for both earnings per share and their revenue expectations.